Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MTG Goldfish Podcast, episode 150, your weekly podcast covering everything Magic the Gathering related. You can find us on Google Play, iTunes, mtggoldfish.com, and now on YouTube. Joining us, as always, the crew, Richard, the owner of MTG Goldfish. What is up, Richard? How was your weekend?
Pretty good, except for some unexpected events, but it was Thanksgiving and Black Friday, so good time to spend time with family.
Yes, very much so. Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, our resident jank brewer and all-around content creator for Magic the Gathering. What is up, Seth? I'm getting there. I'm revving up.
Long weekend.
Yes, definitely a long weekend.
Doing well, guys. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Still recovering from a lot of different things, but I hope everyone overall had a great weekend. For those of us in the States that were celebrating Thanksgiving, got to have some quality, relaxation time and to see loved ones and enjoy themselves. So on the docket today, we are going to talk about the wrap up of Unstable, focus on a few individual cards that were released after the fact, that we recorded last week. That will lead us into a general talk about Iconic Masters. Iconic Masters was released. Prices continue to trend downward. There's a lot of product out there. The issues with said product, so we kind of just wanted to have a general discussion about it. And then we wanted to discuss in a more general manner, take this kind of general view on what happened over the weekend about bullying in our community and the unfortunate events that have happened, and we're going to try to have a discussion about that as well as best we can. So let's just jump right in. Let's talk about Unstable. Take it away, Richard.
All right. So since our last podcast, we had, I think, 2 days of spoilers, including the full spoiler, some interesting mythic rares. So we'll start off with the chase mythic of the set, I think. Urza, Academy Headmaster, Planeswalker, Legendary Planeswalker Urza, white, blue, black, red, green. So one of every color. +1, head to askurza.com and click +1. -1, head to askurza.com and click -1. -6, go there and click -6 for starting loyalty. So we're going to evaluate this card without knowing what any of its abilities are. Go.
So, no, let me ask you guys. My understanding of this when I saw it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, so you play this card, you pull out your phone or something, you click that and you get one of some number of random abilities? Do you go to the website every time you play this card, or are they revealing the abilities and the card's going to have actual abilities set on them when it's printed?
No, I think every time you want to plus it, you go to the site and then you plus and a new
Something
ability shows up.
Okay. That's what
it's basically like RNG or something. You
So
don't do it once at the beginning of the game, or you don't just print out a checklist card or something and just use it forever, but you have to be online and clicking +1 every time. That is my assumption.
Yeah,
okay.
The way I read it, because it says click -1, click +1, and click -6. So I'm assuming it's because it's going to give you a random thing every time or something like that.
So I hate this card. I think I like that it's Urza. It's a 5-color Planeswalker. It's cool. The problem I see is, first off, sometimes you play Magic in places where you don't have the internet handy. And second off, Wizards printed a URL on Urza's hot tub back in one of the last unsets, and it just goes to a page not found. So what happens 3 years from now or 5 years from now when you want to play Urza and it goes to some dead website because Wizards has moved past Unstable and is making Modern Masters 2022 or something? So those are my concerns.
Yeah, that was one of my immediate concerns too, is how long, it's directly tied to a website and however long they decide to keep the website going. I agree it's fun, it's different, but I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't understand, maybe in 5 years from now, I don't know how long it took for the hot tub website to come down, but unfortunate as it is, when you go there, it's like a 404 ever website. So it's however long they decide to keep this up.
I agree with you guys. I like the fact that it's Urza, but at the same time, I think it's just so wrong that our first Urza Planeswalker is this joke card. Like, why is he an unstable? Like, he should just be a real Planeswalker. And is this supposed to be his head only? Is that what this is? It's not actually him, it's just his head?
Like Futurama.
Yeah, like, it's so weird, right? Like, they should have just made Urza, like, correctly in the real set, but I think this is some kind of weird Hearthstone test, right? Like, you want RNG in your game? Here you go, right? We'll just tie it to a digital product, i.e. the website, and now your +1 can evolve over time. It can be errata or balanced. You can make it fun and interesting every time you use it. It just, this sounds like a Hearthstone Planeswalker. So I wonder if they're like testing this maybe for Arena or just seeing how people perceive this card, and I don't know, maybe they incorporate more of this design in the future, but it does seem like it's some kind of weird test for, how people will receive RNG based things on their Planeswalker.
I think that's a good point. It could be a test for stuff in the future. Man, I'm doubly troubled because it's Wizards. Like, have you ever tried to just like look up something simple on their website? Like, it's a nightmare. Like, if there's Wizards does making Magic cards really well, but they do making websites really poorly. That's not their strong suit. So I hope that this isn't a trend for the future that creeps over into the Black Border world. I would be very disappointed if, I don't know, there's a new Karn or something in Dominaria or one of those sets, and you got to go to a website to figure out its abilities. I would be so mad.
Next card, the long-awaited vanilla mythic Infinity Elemental, 4 red, so 7 converted mana cost. Creature elemental, its power is infinity, its toughness is 5. So infinity 5.
I think it's very cool. I think it's the best vanilla creature. I mean, I don't know what more to say about that. It's vanilla. It's funny. It's great, but I
I
don't know.
mean, in like 99 out of 100 games, it's basically a 25. Like, that's how I think of it. It's basically,
Sure.
that's what it is. So I think it's cool. The one thing I was really disappointed about is I figured it would be like sideboard tech to beat infinite life combos, but apparently they ruled that doesn't work, and if you gain infinite life, you don't die to infinity elemental somehow, which
Wait.
doesn't make any sense to me.
Why? You can't gain infinite life. Because you always have to name a number in Magic, right? Like, there's no such thing as infinite life, but this is infinite power.
That is true.
How does
Okay.
this... What? Really? They said that in their rules?
I don't know, because I talked about that in my YouTube video when it was first spoiled, and a lot of people said I was wrong, and it doesn't defeat infinite life combos.
So you're going to learn a lot about math, but I think infinity minus infinity is not 0, right? Like, that is not a thing. So in
Yeah.
that sense, that's correct, but... In the current rules of Magic, when you gain infinite life, you have to name an arbitrarily large number, like 6 billion.
Yeah.
But
So
6 billion minus infinity should be under 0, right? I have no idea.
Yeah. No, I think you should still lose if this connects. I mean, is
It
this
is-
like the 5-year-old like infinity +1 kind of thing? Like, I don't.
It is pretty sweet to fling at people. That's mostly what I want to do.
Yeah, I would. That would be interesting to see what happens.
I mean, there are certain cases where this is greater than 20. For example, if you sacrifice it to draw cards, you can draw your commander deck because it's like infinity, so you can draw infinity cards. So,
But then you mill out and die, right?
yeah, but you have a lab maniac. but I don't know. I think it's really cool. Like, Magic taught me so much vocabulary as a kid. So now it can teach you math because we have this card, we have the card that does pi damage as well. So people are going to learn about math and how infinity works and stuff like that. So I think it's pretty cool. And it's pretty balanced for an infinite power card. Like, it's just 5 toughness, you can kill it. It's not terrible. So it's, it's not like crazy and weird. It's actually quite balanced for what it is. Maybe underpowered given that it's 7 mana, but it's pretty good for an infinite power card.
I think it's cool. I mean, making a vanilla mythic has to be one of the hardest card designs to make, so I think this was a good way of doing it.
They've used up their entire design space for Vanilla Mythic now. What are they going to do for the next one?
Next one's gonna be zero infinity.
Infinite toughness. Infinite toughness wall.
Yep.
All right, next card we have Cramped Bunker, 4 red green enchantment. At the beginning of each player's or of each opponent's upkeep, that player moves a permanent he or she controls to touch Cramped Bunker and no other permanents. If he or she can't destroy each permanent that player controls that isn't touching Cramped Bunker, then sacrifice it.
Wait, does that say non-land or just any permanent?
Moves a permanent. Yeah.
Ooh.
Just a permanent.
I kind of like this card.
Yeah, I saw that you really liked this card too, Richard. To me, I mean, obviously it was a green card, but I thought this was really well done. I thought this is a pretty interesting card.
I like these kind of dexterity things. It's like interesting and there's some strategy to it. And it's just cool trying to stack cards onto this card. And it's a Cramped Bunker, so I like the flavor too. So I actually really like this. And it's one of those things I wish I could play, but I'll never ever play because it's not available on Moto. And I don't know how you'd make it work on Moto, but I think this is one of those cards that I'm glad they included.
Yeah, I think it's fun. It kind of calls back to some old cards, but it seems like it's pretty powerful. Like, how many cards do you think you can get touching this before the rest are going to get blown up? Like, maybe 4? 6? Like, what's the maximum?
You can probably get way... Actually, I don't know. I mean, 4 minimum, right? So I'm assuming you can do maybe 8, because if you get the corners, but I don't know. Like, it has this thing where when it's your turn, you kind of want to cover as much of the card as possible and try to kill the next person, but if it ever wraps back around to you, like, you're screwed because you took up all the space, right? So you want to kind of hose the other players, but not too much, because if it gets back to you, you're going to hose yourself. So it's actually pretty interesting.
I wonder how that works with, like, tapping and stuff. Can you tap your lands that are on top of this and stuff?
Ooh, that's a
what
good
if
question.
when you tap them, it stops touching because they moved?
You gotta... It's like, I tapped it 1 degree. Did you see it? It's tapped.
Yeah. Magic Arena style tapping. It's a test. It's a test for Arena, like everything.
That 30-degree tap.
All right. As luck would have it, just a single green mana. Enchantment, hexproof. Whenever you roll a die, put a number of luck counters on it equal to the result. Then, if there are 100 or more luck counters on it, you win the game.
It seems really easy to win with this card.
Definitely. It's like the unstable version of Helix Pinnacle, but much better.
Is
Way
it really
faster.
that easy though?
Way better.
Like, you have to roll a lot of dice to do this.
But they have, like, that
But you
Brainiac
They
card
don't
that lets
specify
you,
which
like,
die, so you could just keep rolling a d20 every turn.
Wait, you can't do that.
That's gotta be cheating.
Every die is presumed to be a d6, no? Or
Do they?
No,
I don't-
aren't there a few with d20s?
Sword
Oh.
of Dungeons and Dragons.
Sword of Dungeons and
refers
Dragons.
To
Yes.
D20,
yeah. Oh yeah,
Ugh.
that's
Are there
That's
like
broken.
D100s? Just go for the one roll win, 100-sided die. It seems like with Brainiac though, and some of the other die rolling cards that let you roll additional dice or add
Right.
numbers to your rolls, that you probably can do this pretty fast. I think.
well, and doubling season. Don't forget that.
Ooh.
you can double the counters.
That's true. And Carrick's other thumb.
Yeah.
Combo.
Oh, I
It's
like
a combo.
that. Yes, that is a combo.
Yeah, this seems like a card that should be in normal sets. But I guess we don't have any die rolling in normal sets. All right. Next we have Clock Napper. 3 blue, human spy, 2/2. When Clock Napper enters the battlefield, choose beginning phase, pre-combat main phase, combat phase, post-combat main phase, or ending phase. Steal that phase from target player during his or her next turn.
That card's really fun. I
This
could
is
see
really
this being
fun.
black bordered.
So I thought this was the greatest card ever until I read the rules clarification. So when you steal a phase, what you do is you take your turn during that person's phase. Like, you take that phase. You don't mind slaver their phase.
Oh, they still get it?
No, you. So if I steal your beginning phase, and
Uh-huh.
beginning phase I learned is untap, upkeep, draw. That's a, so think nickel bolus, but that's what they've named it. So instead of you untapping, upkeeping, and draw, right? During that time, I do my untap, upkeep, draw. So my trigger, my upkeep triggers trigger. I draw a card, I untap, and then it goes to your pre-combat main phase.
Okay, so
So
like
I
if
so I don't control your turn or something
Right.
during that. I just take my extra
Right.
phase during that.
You steal it. I don't control yours. I just get your phase, so
Yeah.
you don't have it. Right. So okay. So it's not like Mindslaver at all.
I guess that's actually not
That's
as
much
powerful
more
as
fair.
it seems, yeah. Because if you think about it, like, you attack with your stuff on your turn, your stuff's gonna be tapped and not very useful, so how good is stealing an attack phase after you've already just attacked with everything? Or, I mean, I guess worst case, you draw an extra card and get to untap your stuff. Like, maybe that's just the best thing you do with this card, is just steal the, whatever they're calling the Nicol Bolas phase these days.
Yeah, it's I'd much rather take the Mind Slaver. I want someone to cast Pact of something, Pact of Negation, and then you just steal their upkeep and don't pay and kill them. Like that seems so much more fun than just, oh, okay, I just get a random phase here in the middle of nowhere. That's not fun.
Right.
All right, so that's all the spoilers we want to talk about. So unstable releases December 8th, I think. December 8th.
That's still a long time.
That's still
That is not
a
this
week,
Friday,
next
but
Friday.
next
2 weeks
Friday.
almost.
However,
Yeah.
though, I think that means that pre-release is this weekend, or is that wrong? Or is pre-release after the actual release?
No, pre-release should be this weekend.
But then how do you
This
play
coming
Urza? Because it's not active
I
until
don't
the
know.
8th. You...
I honestly don't know. Yeah, that's actually really fun.
five mana do nothing card, literally.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that is when
The game-
do they actually release the abilities for Urza? Like by the
It
end of
says-
the month?
It
It
said
says
December
come back
8th
on
is
the
when they
8th,
go
yeah.
live.
Oh, huh. Interesting.
Well, I'm sure they'll figure it out.
All right, quick question though. Are you guys more or less likely to play Unstable now that the full spoiler is out?
Unstable actually does have a pre-release though, right?
Yes, I know it has a pre-release.
Okay.
I can try to double check the date.
Let me check my LGS right now as we're talking.
Yeah. In terms of am I going to play Unstable, I will likely do just what I did for Unhinged and play like one draft. I think from what I remember, okay, Unhinged I played a pre-release and one draft. And that was pretty much it. I think I would likely just keep it to a draft.
All right, my LGS doesn't have Unstable pre-release events.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if there's actually
I
pre-releases
can't find
for
it.
this
I
set.
don't think they
Wow,
have
maybe-
any.
I have
maybe
not
there's
seen anything
not.
about pre-releases for this set.
But there's no
Huh.
release either. Like I don't. Maybe it's just too early. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. No, we would have definitely seen something by now.
As far as me, I'm more likely to play it, but I still don't think I'll be able to go to an event because I got stuff going on next weekend. But after seeing the whole set, it does look really fun to draft. It seems like the perfect set to just buy a box of, have a bunch of your friends or your play group over, hang out for the evening, and draft some Unstable. It seems like as a 1 or 2 time experience, it would probably be really fun.
I will say this, and this is kind of, even when I brought up the questions of like, oh, why is this in this set? It just kind of seems like a generic black border card. I think overall, now that I've seen the whole set, I agree with the folks that brought up, it is for the sake of having better limited and playing the set, because this seems like a really big step forward from the other joke sets where this actually looks like it can play well. Things got a little weird. Even I understand it was a joke, and this isn't like a real set, but even playing limited and the pre-release of the previous unset it was just kind of weird sometimes. Didn't seem like all the cards meshed together very well. This seems much better in terms of how the cards blend together. So if that was definitely their goal, I think
I don't buy that argument, though, because I think, take Novella Mental, the 2/1 flyer, can only block creatures with flying. They could have just tacked on I don't know, squirrels can also not block
Right.
squirrels, or like hosts or something to give
Yeah.
it to not make it a literal black border card. So I feel like there were ways around it that you could still have like the exact same effect for limited, but not have just an actual functional black border reprint.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really care for limited. I really want to play unset constructed or unset EDH is what I really want to play. But I probably can't. So that's probably never gonna happen. Maybe I'll get a draft in somewhere, but like there's so many weird build around me cards and combos that the chances of you getting it in your draft deck are probably like slim to none. So I just wish there was some place to play, unset constructed or unset EDH.
Okay, moving on to Iconic Masters. Iconic Masters officially released. Not that many folks, uh, with everything that's been happening, and even just other information of other sets being released. Iconic Masters has been released. The prices continue to decrease. Since then, we've learned that big box stores, Walmart, Target, etc., carry the 3-pack boosters for Iconic Masters, and now it's pretty widespread. More reports of bad card stock, unacceptable card stock for Iconic Masters, and at first I thought maybe it's just a small problem. Much like before, where you kind of have your issues, but this is certainly more widespread than I thought, and this is really unacceptable when it comes to $10 packs.
Yeah, this set release was kind of a disaster, I think, in
Yeah.
a whole bunch of ways. Like, I think it's awesome that they did it for HasCon. I think that was a really cool idea, but waiting 2 months to actually release it, I think really killed the hype. By the time the set was actually available for sale, it was unstable, it was rival spoilers. So all the hype that built up, like, if you think back, one of the most fun Magic days of this entire year for me was the Iconic Master Spoiler Day, when random Twitter accounts and Reddit posts and everyone was like sleuthing to try to find what rarities the cards were and waiting for people to open packs. Like, that was really cool. Like, that was well done. But waiting so long definitely killed the hype. I don't know what they're doing as far as supply. Like, having your premium product in Walmart's a little weird, and people were selling boxes for $150, which is absurdly cheap for a Masters set. So
Yeah.
it seems like supply is super high, and I saw some pictures of literal front of the card peeling off of the back of the card from people on Twitter. Like, this wasn't just like, oh, my card's a little bendy. This seemed like it was actually somehow worse than the problems we had been having as far as card stock. So
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, plus all those problems. I mean, it seemed like the cards were foil from some of the pictures that I saw, that this was happening more to foils where they're just literally peeling right off the cardboard. But we still see the same old, kind of scuffed and marked up right out of the pack, curling, not even like 24 hours after opening, and that's just like, when you're paying $10 a pack, that's just not good. And I don't think I see this problem as widespread in more other card games. Now, if I'm wrong, that's I apologize, but I mean, the premium, like, I've played Pokemon, and those premium, like, super foily cards, as foil as they are, I mean, I have still a few, even from older sets, that don't curl nearly as much as that, or have never seen the foil part of the card literally just peel right off the back of it. So, I don't know. I mean, it does seem worse, Seth.
It's
You're right.
pretty bad for a collectible card game. I mean, people open packs, they've had their cards for less than a week, and the cards are exploding, like literally like peeling apart. Like, I understand that they probably were printed like maybe 6 months ago, so this card is actually 6 months old, but like, how bad does your QA need to be to let something like this happen? What's going to happen in 5 years? Do you have any faith that your cards will still,
Right.
be intact in 2 years, right? So I don't know what they're doing. They're probably trying to cut costs, use different suppliers or whatever, and they're running into these problems because, I mean, prior to the last year, like we never heard of anything about card stock quality. That wasn't a thing, right? And we've gotten to the point where like counterfeit cards have better card stock quality. Like I don't know what's going on anymore. But WotC needs to solve it fast, and I don't know, right? Like it's just unacceptable to buy a brand new pack, open it, and then have your chase cards just split apart. Like that's especially a $10 pack on top of that, right? So that just feels bad all around.
And the foils are like the selling point of the set. Like you get a foil in every pack. That's the cool twist why you pay $10 a pack. So it's even more so than a normal set. To have this happen with your premium product is just I don't know. I don't understand why this is happening, because Wizards printed Magic cards for 20 years without this being an issue. So I don't understand why they're just like, whatever we're doing for the past year isn't working. Let's do it the way we did for the first 20 years where everyone was happy with it and this wasn't happening. So they got to figure this out fast. Like, they got to figure it out, because this is something that really will make people not keep buying Magic cards. If you're some random person that picks up a pack at Walmart and you want it because it looks cool and has sweet art, and then your cards just fall apart after a week, why are you going to buy Magic again when you can buy Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon or whatever else is next to Magic in the the checkout aisle?
Yeah, and especially, like, I get that, it is kind of an echo chamber, and it's easy to equate, well, I see it, enough on the social airwaves, so it's probably a widespread issue. That might not always be the case, but at least for me, and this is going back at least to, Hour of Devastation, where I firsthand saw these issues, it's almost like 50-50 out of the pack now, if it's either fine or not fine, and that's just opening the pack. You don't know what you're going to get like 24 to 48 hours later when they start curling. And, if you happen to live in, a place that's dry or a little humid, I mean, it might even be by the end of the day. So I really don't know, because, do you just lock your cards in a climate-controlled room from now on? I don't know what you do to combat this.
So what are your guys' takes on the fact that this is available at Walmart and Target? I know when they first released it, there were like pricing errors and coupons to stack, and people were running away with like $4 packs and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what happens to the secondary market when that happens, and how does this affect kind of the Masters set economy, like kind of the premium products?
I don't know when they struck up the deal to have these at big box stores. It certainly wasn't public knowledge that these would be available at those places until I saw that they, when it was shown to me that they were there. And that was release day or day before or what have you. I had no idea they would even be at the big box stores, and I wasn't expecting that they would. And then I started to wonder, do you think it's possible that this set was overprinted to make sure there was enough product at HasCon, and they just did not have the numbers?
I don't think so. I mean, like, you just gotta print like an extra case or something for HasCon, right? Like it's not that much.
Maybe
right?
they didn't think that. Maybe they thought like thousands upon thousands of people, like they would have like legitimately a Comic-Con. And they had, like, what, a fraction of that, if that?
Seems... If they did that, that would be, like, totally weird. I think it more has to do with Q4 and Christmas. Like, they want to beef up their numbers, so they're like, we'll just give this to Walmart, and we'll sell lots of Magic or something.
It just seems that there's so much out there. I mean, I've seen eBay sellers with, like, thousands sold already. Like, over 1,000 boxes sold already. That just seems absurd. I don't know where this is all coming from. This has to be a little. Maybe it's a. Maybe it's a little bit of everything, right? They wanted this particular master sets to be around for the holidays and accessible. They wanted to print enough for what they thought would be a huge turnout for HasCon. I just don't know. I don't understand why. There's just so much out there.
Yeah, I don't.
It almost seems like there's more than regular sets.
Yeah, it does seem like there's a ton out there. That's for sure. And I don't really like the optics of it. I think part of what makes Master Set special is that you don't see them in the checkout aisle at Walmart. And if you're trying to sell stuff to the random Christmas shopper or someone that's just browsing the trading card aisle, you got Explorers of Ixalan, you got Commander decks, you got a new dual deck that just came out, you got all the normal packs. There's so many Magic products there that I don't know if it's a good idea to have master sets be in the checkout line. It's also, the other thing we haven't mentioned is it kind of seems like a screw you to local game stores. Like master sets is one of their big profitable items that you can't get from anyplace else.
Right.
And I don't know, taking it away from local game stores and giving it to Walmarts doesn't sit right with me necessarily.
Yeah, I think that particular part may be overblown, but I do agree it definitely doesn't help. Because at the end of the day, whether they're at Walmart or not, you don't go to Walmart to, LGSs provide a lot more than Walmart does than just buying packs. And I would assume anyway that at this point anyway, that everyone is pretty competitive in terms of pricing for these packs. So you might not even be wanting to buy them from Walmart or Target or something like that because they're basically MSRP if not more. And judging from how much out there, you definitely get a better deal at an LGS, and you can draft and sit down and play and all that. So I'm not buying that argument as much, but it is certainly odd that they are at the big box stores when normally, you're right, LGSs kind of have that privilege of they get these types of sets.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're underestimating what people do to save money because, you can coupon stack, there are reward programs, there's missed prices that don't happen at your LGS because they know what they're selling. So if you can go to Walmart and buy a pack of Iconic Masters for $3 or something, or even $5, right? Like the price that it would cost you to buy a box, but you can buy packs individually, I think people would go there in a heartbeat. And it kind of sucks for LGSs that that's even out there because, the LGS can't take a loss on their Magic products. That's what they use to make money, right? Whereas Walmart doesn't care. They'll sell you a soda and make up the profit or whatever, right? So I think it kind of sucks. I mean, it's not going to kill any LGS outright, but if it keeps going, that's kind of the start of the end of it, right?
I know that they, at least where I am, they've sold, because I went there on release day. It was just randomly at Walmart, and they had a whole bunch of them, and I was there over the weekend, and they were completely cleaned out. Not a single Iconic Masters pack, so they are being purchased by someone. I think my bigger question is, do you guys think that Iconic Masters is some weird exception, or moving forward to 25th Masters in just like 3 months from now, should we be expecting that in Walmart in super high supply in $150 boxes? Like, is this what master sets are now, or is this just a freak thing?
I don't know. I would think it's a freak thing. If anything, if that's where they were trending to start going, hopefully they look at the feedback and they see that this is probably not where they should go. Because, not that, I mean, overall, I think it's great for prices of cards, and again, lowering that barrier. The way I see it, I think it was successful that it was so controlled over the last few years, and I get that there's still, arguments to say that, well, if they do it this way, then they're not really making a huge effect on card prices in Modern, but the numbers are there. I mean, they definitely have had their effects on prices and overall bringing the cost down of the barriers of some of the, Modern, Legacy or what have you, Commander. But I just still think it needs to be like a controlled thing, and you can't just have every different outlet selling these types of products.
Yeah, I think they're trying to see how far they can push the envelope on this. Basically, how much supply they can give while maintaining this price. So I suspect it will continue. I suspect they're we sold this much product at this price. Why limit yourself to half the supply, right? You can make double the money if you double the supply and still sell at the same price. So I think they're going to keep pushing the envelope till they find that point where people feel oversaturated. because we kind of see this with like, the 3 master set in a row or whatever. We started off at like one every 2 years, and now we're coming down to like just so many master sets we can't keep track of them. So I think they're just pushing as much supply as they can and seeing how we react. So I suspect that it will just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of individual card prices, I mean, if you just look, and even on the site, I mean, a lot of these cards have been cut immediately in half, if not more, and continuing to drop. I mean, even some of these prices listed on the website, you can still find these cards for even cheaper than that, pretty readily available. So, I mean, Grover the Burnwell is, I'm just looking right here. Wasn't that like $60 at one point? $75? Wasn't it something crazy like that?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was
It's
around
like
there, yeah.
Well under 20, if not less. And you can find them pretty easily. I mean, I'm looking at eBay recent complete. It's like $10.
And I don't even think it's reached the bottom. That's not
No.
even taking into account like all the vendors that were selling $150 boxes over the weekend for Black Friday. That supply is not even on the market yet. So I think that we haven't even seen.
No,
I don't think we're
definitely
anywhere
not.
near the bottom for prices for most of these cards because the supply is just so big.
Short of maybe 5 cards, a lot of these cards will be near or basically bulk.
Yeah.
And like that's great for prices, but I don't know if you could just drop prices that much that quickly. Like I said, I think before how they were doing it so successful that they were so controlled in how they released these master sets, that you would see considerable decreases, but nothing like this.
It's just weird to me because when they started doing master sets, they were so concerned about Chronicles and being so aware of not going too far with the reprints that they actually went too far the other direction. Like the first master sets were very undersupplied.
Right.
But now it feels like they've kind of just pulled out all the stops and are like, we'll Chronicles it. We don't care anymore.
Yeah, I think it is a real. I think it could become a real issue. The counter argument that I've kind of been having on that, where I don't really think you can have Chronicles anymore. I mean, short of Modern not being as popular, I think you kind of need this extra supply out there. I mean, the player base is so much larger than it was when Chronicles was released. I mean, you're basically printing Chronicles to like barely anyone that played the game in terms of now when you have millions. If any one of these cards becomes like a tournament, tier 1 staple, the prices instantly increase. So, it really, I think it's trying to alleviate further or future interest in these cards if Modern remains, as popular as it is now. Because we can easily see like Sarah Ascendant or something like that, or Ancestral Vision become a tier 1 staple again and jump right back to almost $30.
So Tinfoil Hat is, we know Arena's coming. Wizards has already said that there will be a place to play your Arena cards once they rotate, but that Modern will not be on Arena, at least for a very long time. So Tinfoil Hat is they're just cashing out Modern. Like, print as many master sets at as high supply as possible, and then create whatever the Arena version of Frontier is, and have that kind of move into Modern space as the primary format for playing Eternal, and have Modern be kind of like the legacy format of Eternal.
I think when this whole Frontier thing, like this whole, discussion, we'll call it, started happening, I think that's kind of the conclusion that we came to even back then. And this is going, a year ago? When this all kind of, sprung up? Was this like a year or so ago?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, about a year ago to the date. I think that was like the kind of the conclusion that we saw anyway, that we thought Frontier or something like Frontier will exist at some point. So I do think that is where they're going with Arena. I don't know. I just this is certainly a lot at one time, and I thought that they were doing a really good job at controlling the decreases on these formats. Like Modern still is pretty expensive, whether you want to argue it or not. I think 800. I took the average price of the top 10 decks or something like that, and $800 is a lot. I mean, whether you want to argue it or not, it is a lot. But that's I think almost half of what it used to be.
Yeah, it's definitely down considerably from where it used to be. And I don't think it can go too much cheaper, because then you're getting into the whole standard
Right.
territory of standard decks are $300. You can't really have modern decks be $300. It's got to be more expensive,
I think a healthy range for modern decks should be $400 to $500, and I don't think standard decks should be much more than $100.
I don't know how Wizards can do that with standard under the current model, though.
Yeah, I thought they have it pretty well. Wait, they actually achieved that for a while there.
I think
with
we
the
were down under
masterpieces?
200,
Yeah.
around maybe 175, 150,
Yeah, okay,
somewhere
150.
in that range.
Yeah, that's probably much better. So, 150 for standard, 300 to 500 for modern. What that seems about right.
Yeah.
On
I'm
average.
okay with it being a little bit higher. I think
Yeah.
I don't think that having 200 and 500 to 600 is that bad as far as prices. I do agree that 800 is still more than I think is ideal for modern. I think it's still high, even though it definitely has improved over the last couple years.
Yeah, definitely, and certainly would be decreased further with something like Iconic Masters. So, all right. I mean, we'll monitor this as we go. I mean, we have another Master set around the corner almost, so we'll see what happens. So we do have a ton of fish mail, but we also wanted to talk about, in a more general sense, a more meta perspective, some of the the unfortunate events that happened over the course of the weekend. And this is not just this is certainly a catalyst, but this is something that has obviously been around for quite some time, and it is more than just a Magic the Gathering problem. And we wanted to touch on bullying, harassment, and just general, I guess, etiquette towards other people that play Magic in our Magic community. And I kind of wanted to, I said a few things over social media. Like I said, this is not something I normally talk about, but and it took a lot for me to say some of the things that I said. But I wanted to kind of hear what you both had to say. So I'll let you go first, Richard.
Yeah, so I think we're all in agreement that this is bad, right? We don't want this part of our community. You don't want people attacking other people. You don't want people inciting hate mobs against other people and whatnot. So I think we're pretty clear on that. But the question is, what is Wizards' role in all of this, and what should they or should they not be doing, and what can they actually do? Because you can ban someone, DCI ban, right? But that doesn't do much if they don't play competitive Magic. It's a symbolic gesture, right? It shows, what their stance is, but it doesn't really affect anything. And the bigger problem is, we say the Magic community, but it's usually not just one community, right? It's usually pockets of community, and they don't interact with each other normally until they're slinging dirt at each other. So, excluding someone from the Magic community, this person's already been excluded for so long that hasn't stopped. So, kind of banning them from our community hasn't really done anything, because they've effectively been banned for quite a while from our community. But that hasn't stopped the attacks. It hasn't done anything. So how does Wizards solve this, and what kind of precedent does it set? Do they go legal action, right? Stop using our IP. We don't want you associated with our product. We're going to sue you. Or do they, reach out to the monetary support, reach out to YouTube, Patreon, and whatnot, and try to get the account shut down? What are they doing? They're kind of stuck in a hard place, because let's say they deal with this particular person in this case. What happens when the next person gets bullied? Is WotC going to step in there? Because guarantee you it's going to happen, right? And do they have to keep doing this for every single instance? And at what point do they stop? So they're kind of in a hard place, and I don't know what the answer is. It's just a whole bunch of gray area, and the one thing they have done is come out and say cyberbullying is bad, but that's just like a statement. They haven't really done anything about it. And are they able to do more? So that's my question. And I was hoping they'd have something today, because they said they'd have something Monday morning, but apparently they don't. And maybe that means something harsher is coming. Like if they have to delay their statement, maybe that means they gotta talk with legal. Maybe that they gotta run it through, the higher ups or something. I don't know what that means, but they haven't said anything as of yet.
Yeah, I was hoping for a statement this morning too, and I kind of feel like you. I don't know what Wizards can do. I think from Wizards' perspective, other than like the statement they made, which I think most everyone would agree with, that cyberbullying is bad. People shouldn't be treated that way. That's kind of common human decency stuff that apparently some people don't understand, but most reasonable humans get that. I don't know what their action is. I feel like if they go the legal route, that's probably going to set them up for a full-out like public war with. It seems like there will be some free speech lawyer or something that will pick up this mantle and try to make this a huge deal, and it'll be in non-Magic websites, and it'll be this big thing. And I don't know if they want to go that direction. Banning doesn't seem like it's particularly effective at solving the problem. Like, it's a fine symbolic gesture, but it doesn't do anything to end harassment or videos or social media or the other issues. So I have no idea. I'm just kind of waiting to see, because I can't really see a great, easy solution from Wizards' perspective that will solve the problem and make everyone happy.
Yeah. So this issue is clearly multifaceted. I really don't know if there's any one right answer, but I think, and I said this over the social airwaves, I think at least a bare bones, and it's not even really a stance. I mean, I think a bare bones statement and just knowledge of this isn't political. This isn't a narrative, and this is some of the stuff that I've seen over, some kind of unfortunate back and forths over Twitter and what have you. This at its core is just common human decency. And I don't know what they can do. I'm not an expert at this, but I know that maybe at the very least, that you can stop maybe the monetization of this, on certain websites like Patreon, YouTube. Maybe you go that route. But this is certainly not a Magic problem, and it gets actually much worse than this. And I teach young adults over, my summer class is a kind of it's like a 4-hour class, and it's game design. Other folks, it's at a community college, but it's for young adults. Some of them do graphic design and what have you. So it's more of like, it's kind of like a tech, based, pre-college they name it. So, and I just see some of these students, come in, and when they're not working, they're on YouTube a lot. And I would like to say that this is just in the Magic community, but it's way bigger than that. And I just hear some of these names that I've never heard before. I'm not very well versed, so I apologize. I've had some students, will come up to me and say, "Hey, do you know this YouTuber, Keemstar, or something like that, or PewDiePie, or what have you?" And I'm like, "No, I don't really get into that."
What's YouTube?
And, yeah, well, not quite what's YouTube, but don't know these people for sure, or these names. And I watch some of these videos, and they're horrible. And I'm like, "You watch this? And like, what is this all about?" And I think just for me, the really, really unfortunate thing is when you have that much influence and your videos reach that many people. I mean, we're talking about 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds, early teenagers. Like, when they search for some of this stuff, like Magic the Gathering or something like that, like those types of the videos, and I'm not going to name names, but I will say some of the examples that, everyone seems to want to know where this is coming from. Some of the examples are provided, I think, in the recent Tolarian Community College video. You should probably go watch that. This is the type of content that they are going to view. And, it's one thing to have a critique of someone or their work and have it be professional. Even if you don't agree with what they're doing, you can even have harsh words. Listen, I've been through 2 degrees in the art world, and I've been told my work flat out sucks by some professors. And it hurts. It does suck. It's not what you want to hear. And that's where this whole thick skin thing comes into play. But that is not a pass to harass and continue to target specific folks in just the most awful of ways. And say, wait, be deliberate in the hurtful things that you're saying. This is going well beyond what they do for a living and their work. And I think it's that maybe Wizards can step in, because it's a pattern. It's not just one video that happened to critique someone and someone, got upset and left, and, that could be, say, maybe that's an overreaction because they are critiquing your work. It was well thought out. That is not what I'm seeing here. And as a teacher, if I had students conduct themselves that way in a critique, that is just not acceptable at all, and that would easily be addressed through, the college, because that is bullying, that is harassment, and that is not critique. So I really don't know what they can do. It's really unfortunate that this was a catalyst, but this is by no means the first time this topic or these actions have been, has sprung up in our community. And I think Richard's right. I mean, this is not just one community. It's kind of it's a multi-pocketed community that comes together. This is overall a microcosm of just gaming culture and community, and just overall our society in general. So, I mean, this is what is going on in the day-to-day dialogue. I don't know what Wizards can do, so I don't have an answer for you. I'm not an expert, but at the very least, I think you can at least demonetize someone from making a profit off these types of comments.
Yeah, I don't know what Wizards can do about this, because like we just said, it's beyond kind of magic. And really, you're talking about YouTube and Patreon and stuff like that. And what do they do about it? I don't know what their rules are for harassment and bullying and whatnot, and if they have rules baked in to that. Like, for example, if someone decides to show porn on YouTube, well, that's against their rules. You get banned, removed, demonetized, whatever. Does that same thing follow for harassment? So I think if you really want to change, you kind of need to go beyond WotC and look at kind of the platforms themselves, and in general, just the laws in the various countries. Because I know certain countries have much stronger cyberbullying laws. Like, there's no such thing as like an anonymous internet account in certain places. All of your accounts are tied to your social security number or the equivalent of it. So when you're a troll posting some crap on the internet, people can actually track you down, right? They know who you actually are, and if you're breaking laws, you go to jail. So maybe something like that needs to be done. I don't know, but it seems like all WotC can do is kind of just put out a statement and push for change, but I don't know that they themselves have the power to make the changes, because it's kind of on things outside their game, right? The only thing they have power over is the DCI, and if you don't play competitive Magic or go to your LGS, then a DCI banning does basically nothing. And that's kind of all the power they have, right? So the other power would be kind of lobbying and getting, rules changed. And I think that's the only thing they can do if they even want to go there.
What I will say is this is unfortunately going to continue to be a problem. Because you can definitely minimize it. And I think it's definitely been better. It's definitely had times or long stretches of times where it's fine. So I think we're getting there. It's definitely a lot better. But I would urge folks who have more of an influence and more of a reach to not, I understand folks don't want to get into, as soon as something like this happens, and even, we don't really talk about this kind of stuff on the podcast all too often, but this is not political in any way, and to have some of the unfortunate viewpoints and takes that I've seen over this weekend is really sad. It's concerning because this is a core human decency. These are core human decency values. This has nothing to do with politics. This has nothing to do with a narrative that, or free speech or anything like that. This is about just one human being decent to another human. We don't have to all be friends, but I mean, just this pattern of just downright awful things that some of these, that a portion of the content creators that I've seen, put out, is just really, really unfortunate. So I would urge more folks out there to not have such a, to be on the fence on this. This is not something to be on the fence about. I think it's not wrong to promote, decency amongst one another. So I would urge folks that again have much larger of a view to say something and try to promote positive change as much as they can. And I don't know where you go from there. It's just really unfortunate what happened, and I hope some of the folks that leave our community certainly come back. But as it is now, I don't know. I certainly don't blame anyone for leaving. I mean, some of the stuff that goes on is just really appalling. I don't know if you wanted to say anything, Seth. Kind of wrap it up.
No, I mean, I agree with what you guys are saying. It definitely, it's a rough situation, and it is, like you mentioned, kind of not a situation that's unique to the Magic community. This is stuff that our society and our world is dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and I mean, I guess hopefully we'll see change in the real world, even outside the Magic community. And it's sad to see this filtering down and impacting people in our community, but hopefully that these conversations will lead to real world change, where we can have conversations about, what do we want on YouTube? How do we want to handle these situations? What kind of, content are we going to support? And I don't know. So hopefully something good comes out of it, even though the situation is very sad.
Yeah. And I will end on your statement. I think it's best. And just remember that there's human beings behind, this content. And it's okay to disagree. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to have issues with the content itself. But just take the extra few minutes to just realize that if what you may be saying is a direct, attack on the person, and what you're saying, will be hurtful. And no amount of thick skin at the end of the day is going to, shield people from those kind of comments. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I never really equated thick skin with that. It's always been for me a vocabulary for critique, to kind of encourage folks not to take criticism to heart, and I think that's kind of where this has all came from. It does not give a pass for someone to just blatantly attack someone, and say hurtful things and go beyond the content. So just take the extra time to really think about what you're saying and how it will affect someone. And keep at this. This is a daily thing. This is not going to go away overnight. This needs to, everyone has to be active in, supporting one another, coming together in solidarity, and being there and being positive as much as we can be. All right. I know we have some fish mail. I appreciate your guys' viewpoint on that. I'm glad we kind of talked about that, at least in a meta perspective. But let's answer some fish mail. Try to get through this as much as we can. as quickly as we can because we're kind of a little over already.
All right, if you have questions, send them to the hashtag MTGFishmail on Twitter, and we'll get to your questions on air. First question, Zeagle68. What do you guys think about the change to FNM? You talked about it a while back when it was announced regarding the changes to tokens over promos. Most of what I've heard is negative, plus no new art. So now that that's been out for a while, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I still think it's not as good. Especially because, I mean, there's literally no effort in what is being given away. I mean, these are just literally foil tokens with no new art that are the tokens from that you get normally out of a pack. And I don't really think that's exciting.
Yeah, it's kind of worse than I thought, because I was thinking, well, like, oh, if they go to tokens, it'll probably be sweet, like the unstable tokens that are actually really cool.
That would have been cool.
So I think there are ways that tokens could have been kind of sweet, even though I would still have real cards, but the way they have implemented it so far has been pretty disappointing.
They need to bring back player rewards.
They really do. I've been saying that for a long time.
Have you grind for stuff like, go to 20 FNMs, receive a Thoughtseize or something, right? Like something like that.
Thank you.
Because not everyone can win FNM, right? It encourages spiky behavior. A lot of people don't play FNM because it's too spiky. But if you just do kind of the ladder grind or whatever, like most games implement, 50 matches at FNM gets you an Elish Norn or something. I'm sure it'd be much better, especially some of these cards that, like say Lightning Bolt, it's not worth that much. You can easily give those away. So I'd like to see that because I'm not feeling the tokens, especially no new art. Like that's just lazy. Maxi Wawa, what are your picks for big price spikes in the hypothetical between modern and standard Frontier-esque format?
Jace Friends Prado.
Yeah, it would be basically every card that spikes during Frontier, right? Like, is that not literally the cards?
Not even. Yeah, but I mean, that was just on the surface. We never, since that format never really kind of got off the ground in a huge way. There's definitely smaller cards below the surface that would certainly increase, like mana bases, stuff like that, fetches. If that were to be included, I really would hope they wouldn't be, but
I think the card pool is the big question, because we just don't know. Right now we know that Arena is starting at Ixalan and possibly backfilling to Kaladesh. Is that going to be the card pool because that's what's on Arena? That would be a huge difference compared to if Khan's Block, for example, was legal with fetch lands. So I think at this point it's too early to say until we know the parameters of the format, because I don't think Wizards will just implement Frontier. I think it'll be something similar, but with a card pool of their choosing.
Yes.
All right, next question. Lord Tyman 2890. How does Grusilda Monster Masher work with Undying and Persist? How does she work with Meld? Finally, Gary and Fnatic Amogus is meant to be one.
Gary and Fnatic Amogus is sweet. I don't know how. I mean, I assume it works just like you think it would work.
Yeah, it comes back with no counters.
Yeah, I would assume.
I'm assuming
Meld,
that's how, but is it still a fused card?
I don't know if you can flip. Can you flip a Meld?
Yeah, I think last time we talked about this, they would really just be the front sides fused together, but I would personally let people just meld the backside.
Does it exile them and make tokens? Is that how that works? Is it a token that combines them, or are you like reanimating? I would have to read Griselda. Because I don't think...
I think it just combines the two cards to one card.
Yeah, I don't think it's tokens. I think you just put the cards on top of each other and call it a day.
But yeah, if they're once they leave play, I don't know what happens. Like, do they? Yeah, interesting.
Next question: Interplanar MTG. Do you think there's a chance of an energy banning in Standard, leading to players turning it into a modern energy deck with Marvel as the win con?
It's not very good. I've tried it.
Yeah, I think if energy was going to be successful, probably would have been by now in modern. And I don't know if we're at the point of banning.
I think you can play it in modern, but I've just never seen it be consistently good enough. The cards that are so good in standard are a little bit underpowered in modern. So I don't know. People would try it, but I don't expect it to be like a tier deck or anything.
Yeah, you got the real Tarmogoyf to contend with, Long Tusk Cub.
Yeah.
Next question. Kodal X. Hi from CDMX. I'm a big fan. The other day I saw a video of Alpha Investment where the issue was the reduced 40% of Magic players according to data announced by Mark Rosewater. But I don't have the source to this. Do you guys know anything about this? Seth, I think you actually talked about this.
Yeah, Seth. Yeah, please talk about this.
So basically, there was a number from a couple years ago that said 20 million Magic players. Then there was an article recently that said 12 million active Magic players. And Mark Rosewater actually confirmed on Twitter that basically the problem is the 20 million is kind of a loose definition of player. Like, maybe you played 6 months ago, maybe you're vaguely aware of Magic and played it one time, while 12 million is actual, like, active. I don't know the exact parameters, if it's like you play every week or every month or every 3 months, but those are actually active Magic players. So instead of a mass exodus from the game, it's actually just different ways of counting who's a player.
All right, next question. 11 Vicious. I'm sure you've been asked this before, but why doesn't Wizards create modern sets? New cards for modern that would be too good for standard.
They should. I've been a big supporter of this for a long time.
Yeah, we've been saying this
I hope
on the
that they
cast.
do eventually.
Yes, we've been saying this on the cast for a very long time.
All right, next question. More than Afro 11. You guys have been a major source of info since I started playing Magic. I've never complained about Seth's pronunciation. However, I cannot stand by the wayside as he butchers Phoebe, head of Sneak. Wait, what did you call Phoebe?
Phoebe,
I believe. Yeah.
Oh my god, so I never watched
actually,
Friends.
Can we?
Yes, I never watched Friends.
Actually, can we discuss really quickly? Can we put an end to? There was like a new. I don't know if anyone who's listening. There's a character or a champion that came out for League of Legends, Zoe, Zoe, but apparently folks that I know want to go the Zoe route. Now, when I grew up, I've known Zoes in my class, in elementary school and middle school, that has spelled their name Zoe, just like what's Phoebe. But it's Zoe, right? Like, I always thought of it as Zoe. They're like, no, Zoe has a Y at the end. I'm like, no.
I think it's Zoe.
It's Zoe,
but
right? Like, I also
Phoebe,
thought it was Phoebe's or
Phoebe,
Phoebe. So.
Zoe. Well, why is it Phoebe? I don't. So, but that would work in your case, though, Seth. Right? Phoebe, Zoe.
Yeah.
Right?
What I've learned is English makes no sense whatsoever. Right? It's just like random. You just got to know what it is. And I've never heard.
I'm sure there's Zoes out there with a Y at the end, but I have only ever seen Zoe with a Z. Wait, Zoe. So it was like really, like ticking me off that they were. Oh, it's Zoe. I'm like, what is that?
Didn't they say her name during the champion spotlight? Like, is
Yes,
this even up
they
for
did,
debate?
but they're like, oh, I'm not.
Like,
I'm
there's
not.
a canonical source for this. We're not going to talk about Ixalan.
Right.
Like, why half the people say Ixalan and half the people say Ixalan on, like, the WotC stream, but...
I'm on cat.
There's a question here, though. If Chaz and Richard had to restrict themselves to one, which guild would they be? And on a scale of Mystic Snake to Shardless Agent, how Simic is Seth?
Just one guild, Golgari.
Seth is not Simic. He's not Simic.
Easily
I'm more
Golgari. Yeah,
Demir.
you can't be Simic. That would imply that he likes green.
Yeah. He's more Demir or...
Definitely Demir.
Azorius,
Or
maybe.
Azorius.
I would say probably
Maybe.
more Demir, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm Golgari. It's pretty
Going
pretty
Golgari.
simple.
Definitely going Golgari.
All right, next question from Ronald Foster Jr. Last week you spoke about how different products are for different players. Why not few products done well? Casual, spikes, and pros can all play from standard master set and occasionally specialty product, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I do think it can get a little overwhelming at some points, and I would agree that less but better is still overall better. But I mean, if you look, it's not like any one of the products that they've released are terrible. I mean, Explorers of Ixalan, there were some good things there. From the Vault Transformed, there was some good things there, bearing any talk about the card stock or whatever on the foiling process. But I thought overall all their products have been fine. So I don't know. I mean, if they were just out there to be out there and they were just completely bad, then I would probably say something. But I haven't seen anyone that's been that mediocre, other than maybe the dual decks. But even like Merfolk and Goblins was okay.
I assume that Wizards just has some data that shows that this is the most profitable way to do it. So I assume that that's actually the answer. They must think they make more money this way because they're doing it this way.
Yeah, also prices. You can't expect a brand new casual player to drop $8 a pack on some master set. So that's why I think they just kind of gear that towards expert players or whatever. Next question, Darmok8771. What do you think of enters tapped fetchable duels at common? Seems good for standard budget decks and could potentially warp Pauper.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Pauper to know if that would be a good or a bad thing. In Standard, it's just kind of, unless there's fetch lands in the format, it doesn't actually do a whole lot. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not against it, but I'm not really sure what that would do to Pauper.
I don't think they could be common. Even if they did come into play tapped, I just don't know if they could.
Maybe they don't untap the next turn too, like double tapped.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Then they could stay common at that point.
All right, next question. J. Pablo Limon. I just got my commander deck stolen, Mile, the Anima, and I don't have a collection to build again. I only buy singles and only play commander. Do you have advice to start over? I might stop playing Magic.
Oh.
No.
That's horrible. Maybe a budget deck to start off with and just slowly build towards a more competitive deck.
Well, let's see. I'll jot down this user. I know there's definitely folks that make the best of they put like cost restrictions. I'll get you in touch with like the $8 modern group. Maybe that'll help. Because there's definitely folks out there that really make a pretty strict budget for like I said, modern. I would make a strict budget to rebuild the commander deck and then just slowly build on.
Yeah, start out with a budget deck. We have a bunch of budget commander decks on the site, or just a pre-constructed deck like Commander 2017 or Commander 2016 as they start, and then slowly build your way back up.
Yeah,
but
if anything, definitely the products. That's if you like any of them. If not, we can try to help out.
All right, next question. Desino, hey, in a vacuum, is 5-color humans the best deck in Modern right now? It preys on combo decks, can outrace affinity, and tough matchup against mid-range control.
Whoa. I think it's really strong. I don't know if we can go best deck in Modern, though. I just don't know if there's that long of a track record.
I mean, I think it's a legit tier 1.5 deck at least, and that it's definitely good, but I think it's hard for there to really be a best deck in Modern. There's just so much going on that I don't think there is a deck that's just better than everything else. You have good matchups, you have bad matchups, it depends on sideboard cards, so I think it's good, but I would not say best deck.
All right, also from Desino, hey, what is the most expensive card you've ever purchased?
Underground Sea.
I don't even know.
I don't know. Yeah, I would like to say Underground Sea. Yeah, probably Underground Sea at this point. I haven't really gone higher. I have no inclination to own Power or anything like that, but
pretty much all my cards come from buying collections, so I don't know if I've ever bought an expensive single card.
What's the most expensive collection
honestly.
you bought?
Oh man. Geez. Maybe like $4,000-ish is probably the most expensive one. Yeah.
Wow.
Did you drive one of those like armored trucks to go pick it up?
That definitely. You traveled for that one.
It was a good collection.
I don't. Yeah.
I think the most expensive card I ever bought was probably Dual Lands, Force of Will, Wasteland. It falls off pretty quickly after that. Jace's. I don't buy foils.
Forces and Wastelands.
You only get more expensive by going after like foils or kind of like original printings, stuff like that. Next question. Just Dude 45. Seth seemed excited about Unstable's Trample Burn. Do you think WotC would print errata spells with lifelink? So Lightning Helix is a lightning bolt with lifelink.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have some of that. What is it? Grandmaster, Soulfire, whatever his name is.
Soulfire Grandmaster.
Soulfire Grandmaster.
Yeah, we got there. Soulfire Grandmaster. Yeah, but and I think that actually was equated to, they took mechanics and kind of built that card, right? The whole life, your spells have lifelink kind of thing. So, yeah, I believe it could happen in the future.
Yeah, I think we could
Definitely.
see lifelink keyworded on spells and trample. I think
And
either
trample,
one of
yeah,
those could
definitely.
work.
Ooh, I
Definitely.
want to see a 2-mana 2/2 red creature that gives your spells trample.
Ooh,
Will
Oh, that
make
would be
Burn
sweet.
Great
that would be
again.
awesome.
Our Savsveld, with the short-lived 2 block sets coming to an end soon, think it was more or less successful than 3 block sets. I felt it was better financially compared to 3 block sets when it came to standard deck building.
I think overall it was more successful, but I think there still was. I still think there was some issues that, kind of, and maybe we'll never know because they haven't kept the 2-set blocks for that long. Not nearly as long as the 3-set blocks, but I still think some of the issues kind of boiled over from 3-set blocks into the 2-set blocks. I mean, maybe that was because of masterpieces. I don't know, but at the very least, I felt like their blocks rather, were more coherent and built together, rather than you just have like just some one random set that just was like whatever.
I feel like they were roughly the same. I don't feel like 2-set was significantly better than 3-set blocks. I think that they really nailed it with their latest change, that the problem is small sets.
Yeah.
I have a hard time thinking of any or many small sets that I really enjoyed and thought were really good. So I think that was the actual problem, was small sets. And I feel like with the new change, they're going to get rid of small sets and that'll solve it.
All right, that's all our fish mail this week. So thank you to everyone who sent them in. You can send them to the hashtag MTGFishmail on Twitter, and we'll get to your questions next week.
Thank you very much for the questions, everyone. All right, gentlemen, that is definitely going to be time. Really appreciate this week's cast, and thanks everyone for listening. Hopefully, we just keep progressing from here, right? So, we'll see you all next week, and this is going to be the MTG Goldfish Crew signing out. See you all next time.